My time as an Ivy League coach, I saw just about everything that student athletes should not do to increase their chances. And it's a real bummer sometimes when you see student athletes falling into these pitfalls because they're trying to increase their chances, but unfortunately, they end up decreasing their chances. It's time to cover the don'ts. And so let's jump right into them. The first don't is take easier classes to try to maintain straight A's. While this might seem like a good idea to keep your AI as high as possible because the AI looks at the unweighted GPA, which means it doesn't really matter how challenging or how rigorous or what level the course in high school is, they're going to see that in other ways and see that as a major negative. So, an admissions department in a high level academic school is looking for you to be a serious student and somebody who can handle challenging classes and wants to take challenging classes because the only things that they offer in the Ivy League and at these other elite institutions is high level classes. So, they want to know that you want to take those classes and that you can excel in those classes. The next thing that we see all the time is trying to pad your extracurricular resume and having that have a negative impact on your grades. That's not worth it. There is this strange common knowledge that you're supposed to be like doing a million different extracurricular activities, and that simply is not true. Now, you don't want to have an application that has no extracurricular activities, but you're much better off having an application where you have excellent grades and course rigor. So you're taking the challenging courses that your high school has to offer, and you're a really good student athlete, and maybe you're in one club. That's plenty because you're already showing that you're an excellent student, you're showing that you're an excellent athlete, and you're showing that you have interest in this one other subject. So try to avoid the pitfall of just doing clubs that you think you should do. What you really should do is try to be involved in a club or a extracurricular that you are actually passionate about. Maybe that'll be the thing that you actually write your college essay about, but don't do a ton because you think it's going to help you. Do the ones that you actually want to do. There is only so much time in the day, and you really have to determine how you're going to use that time to maximize your chances of being admitted. So, if you are deciding to do a bunch of extracurriculars, if that negatively impacts your sport performance to the point that you are not eligible for a support slot, it was not worth it. Or if it negatively impacts your sport performance so now you're just barely meeting recruiting standards where you might have been able to develop your sport a little bit more and been able to exceed those recruiting standards. It definitely was not worth it, and that will hurt your chances. Additionally, even if doing an extracurricular means that it's going to drop one of your classes that would have been an A minus to a B plus, that's not worth it either. So your grades, your course rigor, your sport performance, especially if your sport performance is going to fall into a place where you might get a support slot, that's like the golden ticket. Extracurriculars are not going to be nearly as important as any of those things. So don't think that they will be. So this next don't is one of those things I really don't want to have to tell you because I wish it didn't work this way. But in my experience, it's not going to help you to take dual enrollment courses if that's at the expense of you taking AP or IB courses if your high school offers that. And so if you don't know what a dual enrollment course is, then you probably don't have them at your school. A dual enrollment class is a class that you can take while you're in high school that counts as a high school credit and a college credit. Now, these classes can be either taken at your high school or at a community college or online, depending on how your high school does it. The reason that I'm so bummed out about the fact that taking dual enrollment courses will not help you as much as taking AP or IB courses is that dual enrollment courses are pretty amazing. They allow you to get college credit while in high school and usually for free. So getting college credit for free is awesome, but there are a few things to consider. If you end up at a state university or many colleges around the country, those credits that you earned in high school will transfer in. So you'll be able to be done with your college experience and potentially pay less over the course of your college experience. So dual enrollment classes are incredibly valuable. However, if you find yourself at a elite academic institution, particularly the Ivy League and other schools that are similar, they're not going to take your dual enrollment credits. So you will have taken community college courses in high school, but they're not going to get you to graduation any faster in college. And additionally, Ivy admissions departments will typically favor AP or IB classes if the high school offers those tracks over dual enrollment courses. That's the bummer because you don't know yet where you're going to go to college. And so, dual enrollment courses, if you're trying to shorten the time that you're going to spend in college or save money in college, dual enrollment courses are some of the highest value things that you can do. But on the flip side, if you end up in the Ivy League, or if you end up trying to go to an Ivy League school or another high academic school, you may have hurt yourself by taking those dual enrollment courses when you could have been taking AP or IB classes, which are going to look like a higher level of rigor to those college admissions departments. This is something that you need to, I think it's important just to tell you that this has been my experience. This is what I understand about the elite academic schools admissions process, but you're going to have to decide how you use that information. I'm not telling you not to take dual enrollment courses. Honestly, if it were my kids, I would be recommending, if they had dual enrollment, to probably take dual enrollment with the knowledge that that may hurt their chances. But if you do take dual enrollment classes, make sure your other classes that you're taking at your high school are AP or IB, and you can find some kind of balance while still getting dual enrollment courses, which are great if you end up at a not super elite academic institution, and you're also getting some AP and IB classes that those super high academic schools are going to favor. Okay, this next don't is going to be a tough one to hear if you find yourself in this position, but I want to give you the information that I have throughout this course. So don't go to an elite private high school and end up with a lower class rank than you would have if you just attended public school. While you might think that going to an elite private high school is going to help you get into elite private colleges, that is only true in some cases. If you go to an elite private high school and you have a very high class rank, it just might help you. But if you go to an elite private high school and your class rank is, say, outside the top 25%, outside the top 30%, you might be a little bit more difficult to admit. And while you don't know what your class rank would have been if you'd gone to your local public high school, if your local public high school is maybe a little bit less competitive than that elite private institution, then maybe you would have had a higher class rank, and therefore you may have actually been in better position to be admitted to an elite college. Part of the reason for this is that these elite academic colleges want to keep great relationships with the high schools that send a lot of applicants to them. So these great high schools all around the world, these elite private high schools, send a lot of applicants to the Ivy League. And so a great way to rub one of those elite high schools the wrong way would be to accept a student who is ranked far below what their typical Ivy bound students are ranked. So let's say some of the best high schools in the country and in the world maybe send 5 to 10 students to the Ivy League every year. It's very likely that those 5 to 10 students fall within the top 10 or 15 in terms of class rank at those high schools. So if you're a student or a student athlete who's ranked 50th at that high school, then you are way outside the typical range for an Ivy admit from that high school. Now, if you could have attended the local public school, let's say the local public school is less academically competitive, if you could have attended that school and had your class rank be 20th instead of 50th at the highly competitive private school, that would actually likely put you in a better position to be admitted into the Ivy League. This isn't necessarily going to rule you out, but it may give admissions offices pause to admit someone with a significantly lower class rank than the typical Ivy admit. The last don't is don't have C's on your transcript. Now, if you already have a C on your transcript, there's nothing you can do about that. But you better hope that it's from as early as possible in your high school career that it can be. In the Ivy League, there aren't a lot of students that have C's that end up in the Ivy League. Now, it is possible, but your grades later in your academic career in high school will need to really be showing an upward trend. And unless you are a truly exceptional applicant, if you have a single C and you do not have a support slot as a student athlete, you are almost certainly not going to be admitted to an Ivy League school.